This whole season we've been trying to create different ways of doing it, so every episode is interesting because it's always experimental.
Vigilantes are extremely rare. The exaggerated drama of these killings suggests that they're somehow personal.
In the train episode where Reed is talking about this genius who created something called the string theory, and he's confronting him, and all of a sudden as Reed is talking, out of him grow these strings. And in that same episode we have the criminal psychologist riding with him on the train, and she sort of morphs into this angel figure.
I will wait with you.
That's just fun about this show. There is not one episode that's just straightforward. There's always unique aspects.
In the beginning of the season we did have a couple episodes that involved some explosions, some car fires. I think it can be the most exciting for everybody. It's good television, it's good production value. I like to try to constantly hammer the writers to keep writing those things in. If there's no effects, there's nothing for me to do.
We have a lot of blood.
We have different bloods. We have drying bloods that turn really brown whenever after someone's dead. The blood oxidizes and gets really brown looking. So we have really thin bloods that run. We have mouth blood. We have really thick blood for making quick wounds, something that's really thick like this. Dark blood jelly, and a different non-staining blood. So there's all kinds.
I've done a lot of blood and guts in my life. I started with horror films. It's actually more difficult than doing rain effects or smoke or fog because it's on a smaller scale and it's usually only one take because you're destroying the wardrobe or the set. They're not as fun. They're messy. Every show will involve squib hits or knife fights or something like that.
In this particular episode, they tend to be getting shot in the head. So this is a silicone mold. We can make scars out of it. This is silicone with sculpted bullet holes in it. They can just pull them out after they're poured with plastic and then turn it around and glue it on, and you have a bullet hole in your head.
We've had screaming auditions too.
We always need someone who's going to get killed off. We could be a great victim. It could be the housewife who gets murdered in her home.
At any given time, there are between 25 and 35 serial killers operating in the United States.
It's not that many. I mean, the odds are pretty much with us. We're okay. But damn, it doesn't make a difference when it's dark at night and you've come off the set and it's 2 a.m. and you're coming home.
You think if you read the newspaper or watch the news, you know what's going on. Well, that's 1% of the stuff that's actually happening out there.
You can't make this stuff up. The truth is always crazier and stranger and more gruesome than the fiction.
What we are allowed to do on the show, or even try to do on the show, is nothing compared to the real stuff you read and these pictures that get lodged in your brain.
We hopefully scare the hell out of you by humbling you, because you realize that this is real stuff that happens every day, possibly even in your own neighborhood, possibly in your backyard, possibly in your own house.
We would sort of bring things into our home life, trouble sleeping, jumping up in the middle of the night, like grabbing our husbands, like, did you hear that?
For the beginning, when I first would go home from this job, I've never felt more unsafe in my life.
I'm now a bit paranoid. After I wrote The Fox, I was checking the doors, I was checking the windows. I was thinking about getting a big dog.
It does give you pause. I mean, I'm married, and it does, I have 3 dogs at home, and I don't walk them all at the same time anymore.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't let my daughter watch this show.
It's a little hard, the content, ultimately, like with the victims. Some weeks you come in and just go,
and then I can't help but be haunted by who's doing that in the real world.
I think that we're lucky that our job is saying lines and not looking at dead bodies.
It makes you appreciate right now, and it makes you very aware of simple things around you.
So for me, on the brighter days, I look at this effort that we're all involved in here as a metaphor, as odd as that may sound to some who are familiar with the show, but as a metaphor for ending suffering, for drinking in the horror of the world and breathing out some hope and some light for humanity.